I wanted to do
Little
it.
square button.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Oh, you want me to hit it again?
No. Let us pray. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession, was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, take out your worksheet, please. I'll be coming around to check in just a moment. 13B-1, 17 to 22. So 6 problems still. We'll read off the answers momentarily, so have you read
Wow, you're nice. Yeah, what the heck?
Yes, ma'am. Go for it. Yes. Do you have your worksheet out?
Yes.
Okay, good. Oops, sorry.
Community paper. We got very different papers. Six. I did 6.
I said I wasn't there and you said shit.
Negative 20.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Lava plateaus where lava comes out and it's
That's the
plateau.
only one I was. I can. Meh.
Lava plateaus is.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Mary, what did you do for the last one? 31.9.
All right.
You guys know my paper. I did not get that.
Have your red writing utensil at the ready? The answers are. Everybody set? And John, I got yours checked out. See if we can trace down the 13As.
Huh?
Do you have those done?
Have what?
13A-2, the worksheet before that. Go ahead and dig for them when you get the chance. But for right now, let's go through some answers.
This
17.
one?
Oh, for pity's sake. They just goofed up one of my solutions.
This one?
But, yes. And that was incomplete.
Yeah, I did more. Sort of finished it. I couldn't figure out those 3.
Tell you what, I think it does round up to 3. So, correct.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, number 17. I'm gonna have to type something in because the computer goofed in number 18. We'll skip 18 for a second.
Actually, I might have.
Number 17. Everybody ready?
Um,
Tune in. Red writing utensil.
That is not
All set.
good observation, Eric. What am I asking?
Number 17. 2 solutions. N equals 3. N equals negative 13.
Question. Which number are we on?
17. So that. Number 18, skip for a second. I'll have to type that in. Number 19. No, this is 13B-1. Number 19, 2 solutions. X equals 4, x equals 8. Number 20, two solutions. P equals 4, P equals negative 2. Number 21, two solutions. X equals 1, X equals 11.
Oh, I got that one right.
And number 22 is the most grotesque ones on the page. There's two different forms I'll accept. You could have done 7 plus or minus square root of 210 all over 7.
210.
7 plus the square root of 210 all over 7.
210.
Another version of this is you could have 1 plus or minus the square root of 210 over 7.
Wait, can you say that again? Wait, what's 210?
210?
Looks like this.
What was the answer to all of them?
Here's the two
Sounds
versions.
Mary.
Listen, please. R equals 7 plus minus square root of 210 over 7. That's one version. Or you could write it like this. R equals 1 plus minus the square root of 210 over 7. Either one of those would be fine.
Okay.
Okay. I do have to go back and get number 18 because the
Do you think it's changed?
computer gave me decimals for it.
210.
Hang on. X squared plus 10x minus 31. Hang on a second. There we go. Equals something.
Guess what? Chicken butt.
Equals 6. Okay, number 18. Listen up, please. For number 18, you should have the following solutions. There are two of them. X equals, I'll just write it. Number 18. It is negative 5, but x equals negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 62. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 62. That's for number 18.
Yep.
Okay. And it repeats on the whole thing. No repeats? Alrighty, questions. I'm open to whatever you want to see. What you got? Yeah, Rob. 22. Let's try that. 22 looks like this. I'll get this podium
I
out of
need
the way.
to put holes in
That should be good. 22 looks like this. Actually, can somebody read that off for me?
I can.
Go for it.
7r squared minus 14r minus 21 equals 2.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, did anybody take out a GCF of 7? Good. Because the answer has to go down to 0 first. So subtract 2. That will spoil your GCF. 7r squared minus 14r, bless you, minus 23 equals 0. Okay, go ahead and find it. But once you have it in that form, that's step 1, getting it equal to 0. Step 2 is cancel the C and leave a blank. You can add 23 to both sides. Some people have asked, can't I just add 21 to both sides and skip a step? Technically, yeah. Just do it at your own risk. It's safer to get it equal to 0 first. It's a good response. Plus blank equals, wow, how about I select it? Equals 23. That make sense? So step 2. Step 3 is get rid of the, undistribute the A. Now you can actually do that. 7 parentheses r squared minus 2r plus blank equals, and that's still 23. Good with me? Now we're going to compress this into a binomial squared. Leave the 7 outside, but tell me what binomial squared it came from. Somebody do that? Where did this go? What's the first thing you have to be? R. Is the next thing plus or minus? Minus. Minus what? How do you get 1? Yes.
Because 2 times a half.
Right. In other words, if this is the double product, we undouble it by cutting it in half. What should have been here? 1. How do you get that? Yeah, square the last. square the first, double the product, square the last. There's an extra 1 there, which you can do as long as you do to both sides. Tell me, is this correct? Plus 1. Not quite. There's something missing. Go for it. What's missing? Yeah. Right. It's 7 times bigger than we thought it was. So we're actually adding 7 times 1, which is really 7. So this becomes what? 30. So I'm going to recopy this so I don't just stoop. But it looks like this. 7 parentheses r minus 1 parentheses squared equals 30. Keep going. What do you do now? Go.
Divide by 7.
Divide by 7. What are you using, by the way, to solve this? What technique?
Algebra.
Algebra. What allows you to do that?
There's only one species of x.
Right, or r in this case, but yeah. There's only one species of variable. Keep going. Rob, what did you do next?
Square root it.
Square root it, correct. How many answers?
Hmm?
How many answers in a square root?
2.
2, what kind?
Positive.
Positive and negative. On the test, make sure you do that. When you square root, there are 2 answers, plus minus. If you only do the plus, I'm going to take off half points. So r minus 1 is equal to, how do you square root a fraction? Go.
You square root it.
How? Like, what does it look like?
I actually have no idea.
Okay. How do you square root a fraction? Go.
You take each of them individually.
Individually. Do the top separately from the bottom. Plus or minus square root of 30 over square root of 7. What's wrong with leaving it like that? Rosie?
There's a radical in the basement.
Radical in the basement. How do you get rid of the radical in the basement? What's the cure?
Times the
God.
radical in the basement.
Yeah, times radical 7 on top and bottom. That's going to give you your 210, by the way. The bottom fixes itself, so r minus 1 equals, what is this? Mary, take over. What's this times this? Plus minus.
Radical 210.
Yeah, radical 210 over what? The number 7. It's really radical 49, which boils down to 7. One more step will get r by itself. Plus 1. As long as you do it to both sides. Should I put the plus 1 up here?
No,
No. Where would I put it?
in the very beginning.
The very beginning in front. It's a lot less confusing. R equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 210 over 7. So that's one of the 2 forms I gave you. Make sense? Yeah, the 210 kind of came out of nowhere, but that's fixing a radical in the basement. Otherwise, it would have been radical 30. Next. Go.
Can you do 21?
21. Yeah. X squared minus 12x plus 16 equals 5. Is everybody okay with this so far? Does everybody have this left-hand side? I need some space.
Yeah.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Wow.
I now pronounce you.
That.
That
Okay.
was.
X squared minus 12x plus 16 equals 5. So what do you do first? Maria, take this one.
You have to get it equal to 0. So
Correct.
you subtract 5.
Right. You subtract 5 from both sides. Cancel. So x squared minus 12x plus, what was it? 11 equals
0.
0. Now what?
Now you cancel the c, so you do minus 11.
Okay. So what would you write?
X squared minus 12x plus just
Good.
equals negative 11.
Good. Here's step 1, step 2. Everybody with me so far? Mia Jackery, take over. What do you do next? This is a little tricky because there's a step we don't need to do.
Do I do the last
Good idea. You'd pull out a 1. What does that do, by the way? Nothing. So it's an optional step. You're pulling the 1 out in front, which really doesn't do anything. I'm just going to recopy this. That is normally a step, because I think the last time we pulled out a 2 or 3 or something like, or 7, actually. So here, it really didn't do anything. And why would we not pull out the x? It's tempting, but I wouldn't. Why not? What are we supposed to undistribute?
A.
The a. And the a is a number, not a variable. Another reason is I need this to look like square the first, double the product, square the last. You see what would happen if I pulled an x out? This wouldn't look like a square the first anymore, and it would mess up. So we're good for number 3. Can somebody do me step 4? Andy, take over. What do you do now?
Figure out what they multiply, or do you divide 12 by 2?
Yeah, so what is the first thing you probably can do? X.
Minus 6.
Good. It's square the first, double the product, square the last. You're finding the binomial square they came from. So what should have gone here, Andy?
36.
Good. You can do that as long as you do it to.
Both sides.
Does that look right? Because last time we had to multiply by 7.
Yes.
It does look right. You're pretty much multiplying by 1, which is what we do. So what does that equal to? Go ahead and finish that off. What is this?
Equal to 25.
25. Correct. So we still with me? Jack Gilbert, finish this one off. What would you do now? What are you trying to get? Yeah, trying to get x by itself. What method are you allowed to use? Yes, find the square root of each. That's algebra. So what allows you to use algebra? Because I couldn't have used algebra on this thing.
If there's only one species of x.
Right, there's only one species of x. So, square root, how many answers? 2, what kind? Good. So put the plus minus in front of both of these. The square and the square root cancel perfectly. So what are you left with so far?
X minus 6.
Equals plus or minus what?
Equals
Yep, and what is the square root of 25? 5. It actually came out nicely. So, Jonna, take over. I want to get x by itself.
What?
I want to get x by itself.
Oh, you add 6 to both
Correct.
sides.
Where would I put the plus 6? So not to confuse
You
people.
put it like under the yeah, where your hand was, that, there.
Right here? Yes, correct. In front. So what does it look like so far? X
Um,
equals what? Read that off.
What?
Read that off.
5, wait, is there 2?
This comes first.
6?
6 plus or minus
Plus or minus 5.
5. There are 2 solutions. So what are they? X equals
1
what?
and
1.
11.
Correct. You're done. Does that make sense? That was number, whatever that was,
I actually
21?
got that one right, because I did it.
Everybody okay?
I did it though.
Any others? Yeah.
We did 20.
20. Yeah, let's scroll up. 7, 14, 15. Whoops. Wrong side. Number 20. Actually, can you read that off for me?
7p squared
Hang on a second.
minus 14
Do just a second. 7p squared and then go ahead.
minus 14p
Uh-huh.
minus 51
Excuse me, what?
Equals what? 5. Good.
No, you didn't.
So, question. Eric, take over. What would you do first?
Get the answer to 0.
Right. How?
Equal to 0. By subtracting 5.
Right.
From both sides.
Correct. What do you have so far?
7p squared minus 14p minus 56.
Yes, equals
0.
0. And do the next step for me. What would you do next?
Add 56 both sides.
Right. Again, could you just add 51 to both sides ahead of time? Yeah, I would say do that at your own risk. There is value in getting it equal to 0. Usually, in order to solve anything, you get it equal to 0. Keep going. All right.
7p squared minus 14p plus blank.
Good. Equals
0. 56.
56. Good save. Everybody right so far? Travis, take over. Step 3.
So we're gonna do 0 plus 7.
Yeah, pull out the 7, and then what do you have left?
P squared minus 2p
Yes,
plus what
equals 56. Good. Take the next step while you're at it. What do I do with this? Leave the 7.
Make it into a minus
Right, where did it come from? This is probably what?
p minus 1.
Correct. Where did you get the -1?
-1 squared.
True, although I didn't have that. This is square the first, double the product, so it's half of this. And then what should have been this number?
1.
Good, where'd you get that?
Squared.
Yeah, square the last. How much extra weight should I put here? 7. 7 times 1, which is 7. Go ahead and add that up. What was 56 plus 7?
63.
63, correct. Take over, Brennan. I've got step 4 for you.
Okay.
7 parentheses, blah, blah, blah. I want p by itself. How do you do it?
You divide 7.
Yes, what, I almost said it. What method is that?
What method is dividing this? Oh, algebra.
Algebra, correct.
And you can do it because you only have one piece of x.
One species of p.
I mean,
Okay,
that's
but
it.
yeah, I know what you mean. So what do you have so far? Let me just recopy it up here. After you cancel the 7, what do you have left?
You have p
Uh-huh.
minus 1 parentheses squared
Mhm.
equals 9.
9, keep going.
You do the square root.
Square root, how many answers?
2 plus
2,
minus.
correct. What happens here?
They all cancel.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be p minus 1
Okay,
equals plus or minus radical 9.
which is
3.
3. P minus 1 is equal to plus or minus 3. One last step, Ralph finishes off for me.
Add 1.
Add 1. Where would I put the plus 1?
In front.
Yeah, in front. Otherwise it'll look like plus minus 31. So P equals, how do you write that?
1 plus or minus 3.
Yeah, give me the two solutions.
4.
4,
And 2.
and P equals what? Very close.
Oh, -2.
-2. Got it. Does that make sense? Completing the square. Any other questions? Going once. Yes.
Can we have that please?
Yes and no. Going twice.
What does that mean?
It means yes and no. I'll explain a little later.
Wait, what did Trez ask?
Alrighty. No other questions? All right. Take out your notes, please. I will explain that cryptic comment.
What comment?
The comment about the homework.
I made this for you.
The question was, can we have no
I
homework?
have a lot.
Normally, the response to that is no, but thanks for asking. This time, it's kind of, sort of yes and no.
Well, I didn't have homework yesterday. I mean, I did. I had a lot of homework yesterday.
Okay. But,
Oh, the discrimination.
But- yeah, we were talking about the discriminants. And this is actually, that's actually gonna be in the homework coming up after this assignment. But keep the discriminant in your notes. You will need it. What I want to show you today is something called a parabola. A parabola is a U-shape resulting from a degree equal to 2. Whenever you have something that has a degree of 2 and you graph it, you're going to have something that looks like a kind of a modified U-shape.
Oh, we have to grab.
Let me show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, remember when we were graphing, as might even have been last year, but a little bit this year, we were graphing lines. There was slope-intercept, standard form, there was point slope, etc. Now, with this, y equals x squared. I want to know what that looks like on a graph. And the only way we know how to graph anything unknown is to use a table. Do me a favor. Let's go -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So usually when I do a table, I'd like to have a few positives, a few negatives, and 0. So I know what's happening on the left side of the graph, the right-hand side of the graph, and the middle. Can somebody fill in the y's for me? Oh, Mel, people.
I can.
Go.
Okay, so 6.
Sort of. Multiply though.
Multiply what? Oh,
Plug
yeah,
in a
it'd be
-3
6.
and then square it.
It's not 6.
-3 times -3.
I know.
-9.
Da 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 da. Very close. What's negative times negative?
Positive. Oh,
Yes.
it's 9.
Correct. Do that same trick with -2. Square it.
4.
Yes. -1 squared?
1.
Good. What's 0 squared?
0.
Yeah, that was not very exciting. 1 squared?
1.
Yes. Be careful you don't get into the trap of saying, yeah, +9, +4, +1, 0, -1, negative sides, all that. Not negatives. Well, it's balanced. Yeah, I know, but it's not the right answer. This is 4 and this is 9. Again. Somebody graph these for me. Go.
What?
Well, you would have the 9.
Yeah, so where do you go? Like,
Uh,
physically?
so you go like 9 dots to the right from the left.
Okay. Ah, there you go. X is left, right.
Oh, yeah.
Y is up,
Yeah.
down.
So you do 9 dots, then move up.
We'll do the X first, though.
Oh, yeah, sorry. -3.
So what does that mean?
To the left.
Yeah, 3 to the left. Remember, this is the X-axis. This is the Y-axis. So if X is negative, you're going to the left. So 3 to the left, and then what?
9 to the up.
9 up. I know what you meant. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I'll just mark these. -3 coming 9. Good. I do one more.
And then we have 4 to the lower.
Yeah.
Negative.
X first.
Yes. 2 to the left.
To the left. Good.
And then 4 to the 4 up.
4 up. Got
To
it.
the up.
Got it. Let me see. Mia Jackery, take over.
It's gonna be a feet.
Hold on. I got this one and this one. So far.
Negative 1 is
It's the left one, and then what?
and then up 1,
Up 1. Good. Keep going.
and then 0, 0 is the point
Right. It's the starting point, and then one more.
is on the other side and it's 1 and 1.
Yeah, 1 to the right, 1 up. Actually, keep going as long as they're fast.
And then over 2 and then up 4.
Over 2 up 4. Good. And one more.
Over 3 up 9.
Over 3 up 9. Here's what your graph should look like. It's not pointed at the end, it's rounded.
So it's
It comes to sort of a rounded point, if you will. It's kind of like a really, really dull pencil. That's called a parabola. That U shape is called a parabola. The reason we're talking about this is that the stuff we've been playing with for the last 2 weeks, we're going to start graphing. So how do you graph a parabola? You graph it like this. However, I will, in the interest of being a nice guy, show you a shortcut. Good news, bad news. The good news is it's very short. The bad news is you have to memorize a pattern. It's relatively easy. Over, up. Put 2, this is the, what I would call the parabola pattern. Yeah, definitely. Yes, you should be writing this for like the last 10 minutes.
Someone's been paying attention.
Be nice.
Thanks a lot,
Now, parabola pattern means from the starting point which by the way has a special name. It's called the vertex. In other words, this point where we started graphing from is called the vertex. Vertex is a Greek word meaning extreme or extreme point. You may have played with like triangles and squares and things like that. They have vertices, which is plural for vertex. A triangle has 3. It's basically the corners. Why? Because those are the extreme points. For parabola, it doesn't have corners, but it does have one extreme point, the one that's furthest on the bottom. That's why they call it the vertex. If you ever had a parabola that was upside down, the vertex would be on top. There are even some, you have to kind of get into second year algebra for this and pre-calc, but you can have a parabola going sideways, which we're not going to do in here, which is, people's brains would melt and leak out their ears if we did that. But
What?
by the time we get there, you'll be so mathematically buff, you'll think it's relatively easy. But going sideways, like if the parabola opens to the left, then the vertex is going to be on the right-hand side. Does that make sense? So if it happens to be going this way, this is the vertex. Okay. So the vertex is whatever is the extreme point where you're starting from.
The vertex is like the center kind of thing of all.
It is the center as far as like up and down goes in this one. It's not the center this way, but yeah, it'll be exact center for this one. Yeah, it splits it right down the middle. More on that next year. For now, the vertex is just where we start graphing. And starting from the vertex, here's the pattern you follow. Over 1, up 1.
Who's gonna have those
Over
videos?
2, up 4. Over 3, up 9.
Oh, I get it. You
What did I just do?
square it.
Bingo. Can somebody tell me the next one? Over 4, up 16, one more. Over 5, up.
25.
I beat you.
What about over 10?
100.
Yeah. Over 12?
121.
Up 144. Nice. Very close. That was 11.
That's 11.
Let me know over 20.
400.
400. Nice.
IQ.
What about this? Over
None.
n.
Square.
N squared. Correct. That's the pattern. Over 1, up 1. Over 2, up 4. Over 3, up 9, etc. Now by over, it means both ways. Left and right. Let me show you what I mean. Take this graph and start at 0, 0, which is the normal starting point, the normal vertex. Here's what you do. You go over 1, up 1. But do it both ways. So you get 2 extra points. Now, start over. Over 2, up 4. Just make sure you go both ways. And that's actually enough to make a halfway decent problem. See the pattern? So you go over 1, up 1, then start over. Over 2, up 4, then start over. Over 3, up 9. If you don't start over, you're going to have a very weird looking parabola. I've seen some people do this. It's rare. But I've seen some people try to do this. Over 1, up 1, and then they go from there. Over 2, up 4, and you're going to get a parabola with mumps.
What?
So in other words, don't go over 1, up 1, and then keep going from there. Start over. Over 1, up 1, over 2, up 4, over 3, up 9. It'll make it nice and smooth. So don't do a parabola with mumps. Make sense? Now the question is, do we always start at 0, 0?
No.
The answer is no. But, you know how I gave you lots of different forms of a line, like slope-intercept, standard, blah, blah, blah? There are lots of different forms of a parabola as well. There are 4. I'm just going to give you 1 for today. Forms of I'll say a quadratic, which is parabola. Forms of a quadratic function. And this is just the first one I'm going to get, and this is the only one I'm going to give you today. It's called vertex form. And it looks like this. Y equals A, then parentheses, x minus h squared plus k. We've got some new letters here. I'll tell you what the letters mean in just a second. Now you remember slope-intercept form?
No.
What was the letter for slope? Remember?
X.
Not x, but it's
Letter. I mean,
There's a form for slope-intercept form, remember?
Oh.
It was a while ago. Probably last year,
A,
actually.
B,
Y equals
A.
AB.
X.
something
squared.
X. I think I heard
AB
this.
squared. Oh, no, that.
See if anybody knows this. Y equals
Negative.
mx plus
Oh,
B.
we did A.
Oh my gosh.
y equals mx plus b.
I remember.
That's called slope-intercept form, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. That was just a flashback. Now for this one, there's going to be an A, and there's going to be something else. The vertex is h, comma, k. So if you change h and you change k, you're going to change the starting point. I'll show you an example in a second. And A is what's called the height multiplier. If you make A 2, for example, you've just made the parabola twice as tall. If you make A 1/2, you've just made the parabola half as tall. That's all. Right? I'll explain a little more on that, but let me show you what that looks like. For example, y equals, I'll leave the height multiplier 1, so it's not a taller or shorter, it's normal. X minus 2 parentheses squared plus negative 3. Go ahead and write that down. I want to show you what that looks like. Y equals 1 parentheses x minus 2 parentheses squared plus negative 3. Does, well, it's this form. And you have to memorize that form? Yep. Don't panic, just do it a piece at a time.
Who's gonna have us do it anyway? I know that's a classic answer, but it's true.
How do you know?
This is true.
Can somebody tell me?
She goes.
Can somebody tell me where the vertex is? Just match up the pattern. Match up the formula. What, comma, what? And I'll give you a little hint. The minus sign is supposed to be in there, so don't steal it.
I know.
Go.
No.
Close, very close. The minus sign belongs there, so don't steal it.
2 and negative 3.
2, comma, negative 3. Whatever's after the minus and whatever's after the plus. Because there's a minus sign built in and a plus sign built in. So whatever's after the first minus and after the first plus. Those are your vertex parts. So it's a 2, comma, negative 3. Can somebody tell me where that is? Direct me. Talk me through this. Go.
Well, you do 2 over to the right,
2 to the right,
and then 3 down.
3 down. Okay. So we've now got our vertex. I'm going to mark it as V. Here's where the shortcut comes in. What shape is this? Is it a line?
It's a curve.
Yeah, what's it called?
A U. A parabola.
Parabola. It's called a parabola. So what's the pattern you use to graph it? Shortcut.
I know.
Go ahead.
The over.
Over 1.
Over 1, up 1.
Up 1. Stop for a second. I just want to make sure I got these. Go ahead and draw those 2 dots. Over 1 both ways and up 1. That'll give you a new pair of points. Now start over. What's the next jump? Over 2?
Up 4.
Up 4. Now it's already down 3, so I think you'll end up at a height of 1. So both ways, over 2, up 4. And once you have 5 points, that's probably enough. Make sure the bottom is curved, and make sure you have arrows on the top, and you're done. That's how you graph a parabola. Okay. So if I give it to you in vertex form, and I tell you where the vertex is, and you use the parabola pattern, bam, got it. So, let me introduce you to the next worksheet, 13C-1.
This is homework.
Graphing quadratics, it is. I'll explain the details in a moment. Now today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
There's no school on Friday. There's a March for Life is going on. By the way, for other people on that's where we wanted to go, but wasn't quite strong enough. So take a look at problem number 1.
There's less problems than.
Take a look at problem number 1. Can somebody tell me, now keep in mind, there's a little bit wrong with the way they wrote the form. They did that deliberately to make you think. What's, does anybody see the one little thing that's not fitting vertex form? Go.
Oh, it's the negative.
Yeah, do you see the -4 at the end? What should it be?
Plus.
Plus -4. Should be plus -4. Can somebody give me the vertex now? Go. 3 comma -4. Positive 3 comma -4. So go ahead and put a dot, right, we'll just do this together. Where is 3 comma -4, direction-wise? Anybody? Like, what do you do, physically? Go ahead. 3 to the right? And down 4. You notice they're counting by halves? Yeah, just skip over the halves. You shouldn't need them. Can somebody give me the first jump? Go, Brendan.
Over 1 up 1.
Over 1 up 1. So start at 3 comma -4, and then go to the left and right 1 and up 1, and put a pair of dots. Clear? Then start over, and can somebody give me the next jump? Maria. Over 2 up 4. Good. So starting from that 3 comma -4, over 2, which should give you the edge on one side, and then up 4. Now the up 4 I think will land you right on the x-axis. Put the 2 dots there, and then carefully draw a U shape with arrows. And you're done. Does that make sense? Okay. This entire worksheet, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are all in vertex form. For today, well, for tomorrow, I would like you to do just problems 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, easy dough. Can I just finish them?
Now the reason I halted after that is because 5, 6, 7, and 8 have height multipliers.
What is that?
If you want to try them, you may, but be careful. Like, look at number 5. I'll give you a hint. What's the height multiplier? Anybody see it?
What's a what?
The height multiplier is, for number 5, is 2. If you look at the equation on number 5, there's a 2 in front. That means it's twice as tall as normal. So what you do is the over, always do over first. Over 1, normally it's over 1 up 1. What's it now?
Over 2 up
Over.
2.
Not over 2, because that would mean changing the width. They just changed the height.
So it'd be
Over 1,
up 2.
up 2. Now what's it normally for over 2?
Over 2 up.
Up 4. What is it now?
Over 2
8.
up 8. Okay,
Correct.
I can do that. Never mind.
Does that make sense? So normally the pattern is over 1 up 1, over 2 up 4. But if you have something twice as tall, like number 5, it's over 1 up 2, over 2 up 8.
So 3 would be
Over 3 would be way off screen, up 18, correct. Right. And you don't have to do like a third pair of points. That usually goes off screen. You can if you want, because it looks pretty slick. Any ideas what would happen if you put a negative in front of the height multiplier?
It goes
It
down.
goes down, correct. If you just have a negative and no height multiplier, you would go over 1, down 1, over 2, down 4. So that's a hint. You should be able, if you want, to try problems 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yes, sir.
I'm confused at number 4.
Alrighty. Yeah, do you see something wrong with the formula? Actually, there are 2 things wrong with the formula.
Oh,
Yeah.
in the parentheses, negative.
There should be a negative. Now this bugs me, but because I hate subtraction. This is forcing us to change it to subtraction, which just gets my goat. But you have to change the inner parentheses sign to minus. But minus a what? Minus a negative. It's x minus -4, which, yuck, but what do you do? And then the outer one you have to change as well. That's supposed to be plus. Can somebody rewrite that thing from beginning to end? What is it supposed to look like? Right.
Y equals parentheses x minus -4
Yes.
squared plus -2.
Plus -2. Can somebody give me the vertex on number 4? Go.
-4, -2.
-4, -2. Correct. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, you have a fighting chance of doing, but you don't have to do that. By the way, notice that they're on the x-axis for 8, they're counting by 2s. They're teeny weeny little numbers. I think they're counting by twos on the x-axis too, and the y-axis. So they're counting by twos everywhere. Brendan, question?
Why did you say we had homework, yes or no?
Okay, that's the other part. Just 1 through 4, which is relatively minimal. And then the rest of this, do not do yet. I want to complete the notes for 5, 6, 7, 8 for tomorrow. And then there's one other burst of notes for 9 and 10. You notice they're in a completely different form. I will even give you a hint on those. You can get vertex form by completing the square. So if you know how to complete the square, you might be able to do number 9 and number 10. Now, do it at your own risk. But I would say, or hold off and wait till we get the notes. But we're going to do complete the square on 9 and 10. There are two things complete the square does. Number one, it magically changes it so you can use algebra, but it also magically changes it into vertex form, and you can graph it, which is super duper handy. Because graphing it in that form in number 9 and number 10 is a pain in the caboose. So, try to be polite. Questions? All right, so for tomorrow, just 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll write that up on the board. I'll write it up on the board here too for the people listening at home. This is homework number 13C-1, just numbers 1 through 4 for Thursday. Okay, now put that up here too. And I think that is it for now. So people listening at home, this is my hand waving goodbye. Bye-bye.